Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Chair with James. We're going to have a special crossover edition with Todd from the Grinds, one half of the Grinds with Matt as well. Check out their show on Facebook and all the other social media platforms. They do a wonderful job. They tell it like it is. It's Real Talk with Todd and Matt, maybe. Uh, the name will be one day. But check out the Grinds, like I said. It's a great show. And today's video, wanted to do a NFC preview of the 2020 football season coming up of the NFL. And, you know, as we bring in Todd here, it feels great to have football back. I know we just had the first game go by, and it was a bit of a snoozer. And, luckily I missed it. I watched a little bit of it, saw the score, and I was like, oh, well, figured what would happen. It was just a dud, pretty much. But hopefully we get some great games coming out of this conference and the whole league. What are your thoughts about the NFC coming up here
I'm
and the
hoping
whole
to
league in general?
I'm hoping to see a lot of good football. Last night's game was good for about a half, maybe. Texans just looked overmatched. Chiefs looked a lot stronger. The NFC, there's going to be a bunch of good games this weekend, and it's just I think the divisions are a little more balanced. I think the AFC is pretty top heavy, and then you have a bunch of dregs at the bottom. Whereas the NFC, you probably only have two or three teams that are kind of lousy, or at least one for sure, and the rest are decent to average to good. So we'll have to see how it goes, but the NFC's as we go division by division real quick is going to play out pretty good, I think.
Yeah. And so let's get this thing kick started. In the NFC South, the main story I think of the NFC, you were really surprised, but not really, about the rumors coming up in the offseason with Tom Brady going to the Buccaneers. He brought over Gronkowski. Hey, you want to join me? Sure, yeah. So that would be fun. They have a real stacked team in this NFC South. You're going to need it to beat the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I see this division going, I still have the Saints first. I think offensively, Drew Brees, especially at the early part of the season, he puts up tremendous numbers. He has Emmanuel Sanders now on his ball club to
Yep.
go along with Kamara if he gets his head right. If he gets that new contract, I guess you know how those things go with running backs. It's just it's a definite struggle. You also have Michael Thomas, maybe the best receiver in the NFL. Although Julio Jones always has something to say about that. But we don't see Julio in January. We see Michael Thomas in January.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I still have the Saints first. And with the Buccaneers, you bring all that talent together, whether it's new or somebody's already been there. But it always needs times to gel. You need time to gel. So it might not be great right away, but hopefully they'll sneak in a wild card for those fans down there. They've been struggling for a winner, the
Yeah.
Bucks. I mean, they haven't been to the playoffs since 20, I think 2006, somewhere around there when Gruden was there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a while, and hopefully they'll have a good team. Uh, the Falcons, it's the same old thing with the Falcons. A horrible defense, but they could put up points. Fantasy owners out there, you go get Matt Ryan, you go get Julio Jones. What was amazing in our draft? Calvin Ridley was drafted pretty high, and I was thinking, man, he's a slot receiver. He didn't have a great year last year, but the numbers that Matt Ryan could put up are just amazing. And then the story in Carolina, speaking of fantasy, with Christian McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously I picked him number one. I thought, well, he's going to do some things. Now you make that magic with Teddy Bridgewater coming over from the Saints. What he learned from Drew Brees, I think that would be so much fun to watch. Uh, but I still have them in last. So I go New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and Carolina in that division. So, what do you think the NFC South will end up looking like division wise?
Um, I just think Bruce Arians will get in the way. I think a lot of flash. I think you're right. I think Tampa goes for broke next year. I think they do find the wild card. I agree with you. Saints are much better. I'll just flip flop and put the Falcons in last and Panthers in third.
I was so torn about that with the Falcons and Panthers. Both don't have defenses. They used to. Well, Falcons really never had a defense, but the Panthers, Peppers and who am I thinking of? Josh Norman.
Kuechly.
That's all gone. Yeah, Kuechly, he's gone.
Yeah.
Thomas Davis is gone.
Mm-hmm.
All those names that you knew about the defense are all gone.
Yep.
So next division I'm thinking of to have you preview is the NFC East, and there's been a lot of news coming out of that division this offseason.
Well, we'll start with Washington. That's probably the most pathetic organization in the NFL. Sex scandals. The fans want Schneider out. When they had fans, which that's another thing. Football is going to be integrating fans in the next few weeks. Some stadiums will have it, some won't. The Raiders said they weren't all year, but now they're going to reevaluate. Rams as well. It just depends on the COVID situation. But I guarantee you by October, November, most stadiums will be half the majority filled. And then by playoffs, for sure filled in Super Bowl because there's too much money to lose. But that being said, Washington Redskins have all kinds of problems. They're not the Redskins no more. They're still daunting the colors. I don't like Haskins at all. That franchise should never have drafted him. He's a quarterback that he's basically Jamarcus Russell 2.0. He doesn't read the playbooks. He doesn't have a good throw. He's not a good quarterback. And what Ohio State quarterback have you heard that's come out that's done things in the NFL? And he's just another failure, in my opinion. I might be judging the book way too early, but that's my opinion on him. Moving on, though, they're dead last. I would be shocked if they won more than 3 games this year. So I'm going to give them 3-13. Third place, the Giants rebuilding. I think they're going to go something like 7-9. Daniel Jones is pretty good. They got Shepard. They got Barkley. They got a few other weapons offensive line-wise. Defense, they can't get home, and their secondary is abysmal. So they will give up a lot of points. So look for them to win about 6 to 7 games. Here's where I kind of pissed off my co-host on the Grinds. He's a big Cowboy fan. He thought the division is going to be theirs. This is going to be – it may be a stretch, but I'm going to go with the Cowboys at 2. And the reason is Mike McCarthy is the kind of guy that he doesn't work good with others. So I was shocked that Jerry Jones brought him in. He was used to having mostly control, being the general manager and coach up in Green Bay. He lost that position before he lost his job over there, but he did a great job. But this offseason, he said all the right things, but how long is that going to go? Eagles are involved when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Their defense does look much better, and their offense does look much better too, but it's a different system. Will Dak ball out in this system? And I applaud the Cowboys for not giving in and paying him before they found out if he can adjust to this new system. They have a lot of weapons on CeeDee Lamb, Elliott, just a bunch of guys, Galloway. We're going to do Galladay or whatever his name is. They're going to do a lot of good things, but we've seen this song and dance with the Cowboys. Can they maintain it? I still think they're going to win like 10 games, but they'll lose some games, I believe, and that's where I picked the Eagles of all teams to either finish with the same record and get in on conference or go a game more and surprise some people and win like 11 games. It's hard not to trust that Eagles or go against that Eagles team because their defense is still very, very good. And they could put up some points. Yes, they've got aging receivers, but they can get it done. And I predict Wentz stays healthy until playoffs, and then he gets hurt again. But they'll be an easy out. But give me the Eagles number 1, Cowboys 2, Giants 3, and that team from Washington
4. And by the way, watch the Grind show. They just put out their predictions and their thoughts about it, and I got to tune in very soon to that. Obviously, I've been running around a lot, and I'll catch it on the fly for sure. But with this NFC East, again, start from the bottom. With the Washington football team, change the colors, change the name already. Change the name to something. What was the name that you saw? Red Wolves?
Yeah, I like the Red Wolves. That was one of them.
There was Red Tails. I remember that kind of got some
The Red Tails was after the what is it called? The black air fighters from World War II. I forget.
Yeah.
Tuscany something airmen.
See, I thought that would work there.
It was a nice little tribute. I thought it was for some reason that name was looking too. So
Yeah, I thought that would work there. You still hear me, Todd, right?
yeah, you're there.
Okay, so with the Washington team, they have a up and coming defense. You got that guy named Sweat, which of course he's on an Old Spice commercial. And then you also have Chase Young coming out of Ohio State, playing the right position out of Ohio State to be something. It's the problem is the quarterback, Haskins. Like I mentioned to you the other day, there's that video last season. He's playing horribly. He's with that offensive line, and nobody's really listening to him. He's like, let me know what I have to do for you. Like, let me know. And everybody's looking at him like, who's this rookie talking to us like this? Like, and then Alex Smith will play. So if anything to look for, it's the defense of Washington, and then see how Alex Smith moves. I mean, they have Sims Jr., but release Adrian Peterson. Obviously, he doesn't have it anymore. He was getting banged around at training camp, and no, he's with the Lions now, and we'll see how far he goes. With they'll be in last for sure. Washington in third place, I have the Giants. Again, rebuilding. They have one of the worst secondaries, one of the worst defenses in the NFC and in the NFL. So eventually they're going to have to build that up and think defensively when it comes to the draft, which they'll probably be in a good position to draft in April. See, the thing that bugs me, this division, whoever wins it, no wild card is coming out of it. It's going to come down to two players in the most important positions, Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz. Dak's performance, that's it, right? You have a lot of weapons. You have a lot of talent around you. Michael Gallup, like you said, Elliott and CeeDee Lamb, that rookie, he's already looking good. You have a strong defense. But with Philadelphia, you're looking at Wentz and, will he make it to a playoff game? Will he make it to the end of the season? That's the thing that's going to work out maybe for the Eagles. But they did draft Jalen Hurts, and I wonder how much we'll see of him coming out of Oklahoma. I want to see if he can do something. Obviously, they found something in him if they did. But what it's going to come down to is division. I'll probably go Philadelphia first and the Cowboys second. Like the points you mentioned with McCarthy, there's obviously something about him that you trust him. Even though, yeah, like you said, he's had his thing in Green Bay with player personnel and ownership and management, but I think he's found the right spot as long as Jerry Jones lets him do what he's going to do for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, for the next division, the NFC North. Now this one's kind of tough, but I think we all agree the Detroit Lions, the sad factory that it's been, whether it's been at Tiger Stadium or the Silver Dome or now the Ford Field. They're going to be in last, obviously. Matthew Stafford, if he's upright, if he's not scrambling around very slowly, he can make things happen. And they have Galloway. They have a couple of tight ends that I thought would be good, but they're young, and we'll see if they come up. Adrian Peterson is there now, but I don't know if he'll make it 8 weeks during the season, honestly, because what I mentioned with the training camp with Washington, he was getting beat up pretty bad, and that's why they released him. I mean, if you can't play with Washington, your career is probably over.
Yeah,
if you can't hang with that team.
He's chasing for sure.
Yeah, it's just, you might as well get it. I mean, maybe he'll find a landing spot. Maybe he won't get beat up as much. But if you look at the defenses there with Chicago, Minnesota, And Green Bay, you're facing those defenses twice.
Yeah.
You're probably going to get beat up pretty bad, I'm guessing.
They it's not called the black and blue division for nothing.
Yeah. So I have the Lions in last. I have the Bears in third. Again, it all comes down to Mitchell Trubisky, and this feels like the last year that he has left to prove to Matt Nagy, head coach of the Bears,
Great
that
coach.
he could do something offensively. And Nagy is an offensive coach, and I don't know what will happen with Trubisky. He was running when he didn't need to. He was throwing the ball away or throwing it straight down to the ground.
Yep.
Their running game wasn't good with Cohen and the rookie Montgomery. I thought that was going to be their best part, was going to be their running game. But when you got guys averaging 4 yards per game, that's not going to cut it, of course. They do have Allen Robinson the third. When he gets to the ball, he can make things happen. But that's about it. All of it stems on the defense with Khalil Mack. And, he didn't have his best year last year as he had in Oakland and the year before with Chicago, but maybe he'll have a resurgence with this year coming up on Sunday. Now for second place, this is very tough here with the North because these two teams, Minnesota and Green Bay, they're both coming in with question marks and who will be here the longest with Aaron Rodgers and his coach. They're having this battle with the offense of how to run it. And we thought the Packer defense would be as good as what they spent on last offseason, but that wasn't the case. They did have a good first 4 weeks of defense, and then it all just went downhill. Granted, they did make the playoffs, no doubt.
Yeah.
But I'd probably put the Packers at second just because there's just something missing. I don't know what it is. They get down, they get into games, and then they just self-destruct. There's always some type of penalties that come up defensively. Aaron Rodgers isn't in sync with someone. They have Devontae Adams. They have Jimmy Graham. They have some other good receivers. You have Aaron Jones, a great runner.
Oh, Graham's in Chicago now.
Jimmy Graham is in Chicago. Wow.
Yeah, he's in Chicago.
Whoops. He's not going to get the ball there.
No, he's
He
not.
should stay with Green Bay.
Unless he plays defense.
Yeah.
He'll catch one from Rodgers.
That's just, wow. I didn't know that. Obviously, I haven't done my work because of this COVID. Let's just blame it on everything on COVID.
It's COVID.
Just screw it. COVID, outside COVID, weight gain, COVID. First place, I'll go with Minnesota. I feel like the momentum of taking a step up will get them in the division race. I know they won the wild card last year and they defeated New Orleans. That was a game New Orleans didn't even want to play. They were like, man, don't worry, we're gonna have a week off. Then we're gonna come back. We're gonna practice. We're gonna be great. Don't worry about nothing. And then a hot Minnesota team came into the Superdome and
Took him out.
treated them. I don't know, how that happens. I guess New Orleans just wasn't prepared. But with Kirk Cousins, having that little notch on his belt of, hey, I won a playoff game. You like that. With Dalvin Cook, everybody's saying Dalvin Cook is supposed to have a breakout season. He had that horrible injury a couple years ago. He showed little bursts last year, but maybe he'll break out this year. Who knows? But they have some great receivers, although Diggs was traded away. You still have Thielen. And again, like I mentioned this to you the other day, if Thielen is double teamed, if the attention's on him, they have Justin Jefferson, this rookie from LSU, that will probably be good. Rookies you don't really know, but if he's really good, I know the defense lost a couple of key players, but they still are really solid. You still have tremendous players on defense. So I have Detroit last, I have Chicago third, I have Green Bay second, and Minnesota first. How do you think that North will end up?
Well, the Lions I'm on pat with you for the first two. Lions will finish fourth. Stafford's another quarterback that likes to bring up the stats late in games because they're always losing. Detroit has no defense. They'll be pesky, but they'll bring up the rear. Chicago, I love the coach there. He's got a good staff too. The problem is, again, like you said, Mitchell Trubisky, their quarterback situation with Foles. He's just not good in any other system that's not the Philadelphia Eagles. And Owen, I think the Bears made a mistake too last year. I still don't understand why they couldn't keep O.J. Howard, or not O.J. Howard, but what's his name?
Thomas Howard. No,
Yeah,
Jordan Howard.
Jordan Howard. Yeah.
They traded
So
him to Philadelphia.
yeah, I don't think that was a smart move because he was pounding the rock. He was your typical Chicago Bears running back, and he took a lot of pressure off Trubisky his rookie year. And I think that Cohen is a scat back, so was the rookie, and they had problems last year. And then you don't have too many receivers other than Robinson. So again, yeah, you have to rely on defense. So this year is going to be huge for the Bears, but I still think they don't get it done. You'll see Foles at some point. Third place. Here's where I defer from you. I still think the Packers overachieved last year. And if as long as they don't play the 49ers, they'll win games because the 49ers they own them right now. And the Vikings, Kirk Cousins last year of his contract, some say he's going to ball out. I don't think so. I don't trust them without Diggs. Yeah, you have Thielen, you got Jefferson and Cook and those guys you brought up, Rudolph and whatnot. But we've seen that same song and dance. And without the fans the first few weeks, it's going to hurt them a little bit. So I especially against the Packers because of the home field and the first week one is against the Packers at home, and you're not going to have that intimidating crowd. You can play that horn all you want, but without a crowd, it's not going to do much. And I think that's going to play into the Packers' hands. And I think the Packers take that pivotal game one against them, and they'll probably beat them in Green Bay when they rematch them. So I got the Packers winning the division. I think even though they overachieved last year, they were a year early. Their defense is very strong, even though it's young. They play pretty good. And Rodgers had a bit of an off year last year, but I think another year with guys like Lazarus or whatever his name is, Lazarus, Lazarus, Bible name. I can't think of the other receivers outside of Adams, but I do know that they're pretty young offensively. So if Rodgers gets anything going, it should be the Packers division.
I think Michael Valdez Scantling is the other receiver that I could think of. Quickly with the Bears, it's just funny how they had something great with Howard, and then they saw this running back, the scouting development saw this running back out of college Montgomery said, hey, why don't we get younger at running back and maybe better? And obviously that didn't work out for the Bears.
Not at all.
Now to close this thing out, and this is the division good and well, the NFC West. Now, how do you think this division's going to go?
I'll start like this. It's been very enjoyable here living in Los Angeles or outside of Los Angeles, basically just outside of Los Angeles, seeing the Rams come here and then everyone jumping on the bandwagon and then them just dismantling themselves. They built a really good team and looked scary for that one Super Bowl year. They shouldn't have been in the Super Bowl that year. Obviously, we all know the Saints should have been in the Super Bowl. However, they built a depth on that team. They built a core on that team. And stupidly, in one season, they overpaid Goff way too early when you still had him under control. You did the same thing with Aaron Donald. You did the same thing with Gurley. You did the same thing with a few other players. And now you look at the team that just went to the Super Bowl 2-3 years ago. They're a shell of themselves. And all they got is Aaron Donald. They've got Cooper Kupp. They've got Jared Goff, Cooks. And the only other player now is Jalen Ramsey. They had to max him out as well. They're still in salary cap hell. They have no linebacking crew, which their linebackers were scary at one point. If you can double team and keep Aaron Donald away, I'm not scared of anyone else on that defensive line. They're not good run stoppers. The offensive line has taken a hit too. They've lost a few players. So that team has just killed itself. The league hasn't killed it. It killed itself. And now they're moving into a brand new stadium, and they're going to be last place. And I love it as a Seahawks fan. So they're going to finish fourth place. You're going to see the real Jared Goff this year with hardly any weapons around him. He's not going to be super protected. No running game. 6-10 at best for the Rams. I think maybe 7-9 if they get hot towards the end, but 6-10. And the genius has a really bad losing season. The coach. Then it moves over to the Cardinals. I think they're the most improved team in that division, but again, they have Kyler Murray, who's just a little bit bigger than a dwarf. And, I think trading the running back was a bit of they needed to get rid of him because he kept getting hurt, which is a Johnson. And they don't really have a good tight end. Yes, they have Fitzgerald. He's always solid, even at his age. And then you got DeAndre Hopkins, best hands in football. That's all well and good, but they don't have an offensive line. And Kyler Murray had to run for his life a lot last year. Hopkins will help him out, getting open late, making these super circus catches. But again, who's on defense? And the Cardinals have had a defense that when they're at home, they blitz the crap out of people. They get home, they make it tough for you. But for the most part, when they're not at home, they're a different squad altogether. So I give the Cardinals an improvement. I think they will win some, 7 to 8 games max. But that's about it. This, to me, comes down to a 2-team race. And this is going to be between the Seahawks and the 49ers. And last year, a lot of people forget, had the Seahawks not lost 2 out of 3 games at the end of the season to the Rams and Niners, and I think they lost one prior. It's 3 of their last 4. They would have won that division outright. The Saints would have had that first round bye. It would have changed everything. I think the Packers would have even got the first spot. So, but that's how close they were last year from stealing that division from the Niners. A lot of people forget about that. They won 11 games last year. So with that, they were picked to finish with only 6 to 7 wins last year because of all they lost. They've beefed up. You got Metcalf. You've got all kinds of good weapons. Chris Carson. You got the best quarterback, arguably, along with Mahomes and Russell Wilson. You now have a reconstructed secondary with Quentin Dunbar, Trey Flowers, Shaquem Griffin. You got I know I'm missing one of their safeties. I'm blanking. Anyway, you got 5 good players. Yeah, 5 good players in the secondary, and then you couple that with Wagner, Bruce Irvin. They brought back, and
really,
yeah. So they got Bruce Irvin, Wagner, and what's this KJ Wright. So that's 3 good Pro Bowl type linebackers. But the weakness is the defensive line. Now, the defensive line can tackle on the run. They're really good run stoppers with Poona Ford and a few others. However, they're not good at pass rushing. Dead last, and Seattle's going to have to blitz to get home, and that might leave. But that's why they beefed up their secondary to to get more experience to stop those. But long story short, I like Seattle's chances. They can get off to a really good start if they handle Atlanta and New England right off the bat. I know the Niners got 2 easy games too. I think they play they open with the Cardinals and the Jets. So if they're able to take care of business, but the thing is, the reason why I picked the Niners to finish second is because I don't believe in Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a handoff machine. When you have to test him and you put pressure on him, he's not the same quarterback. He can't handle the pass rush, and he can't handle the pocket collapsing, and he's just not good in the clutch. If you're winning, he's a great quarterback because the offensive line and the running game can run out the clock, and he can maybe make a play action pass to Kittle. But they lost a couple of receivers. They don't have Emmanuel Sanders. They have Deebo Samuel, who's a little bit injury prone, and their secondary is very exposed. Their linebacking crew is good. Their defensive line is good. But in the Super Bowl, they were exposed. Once they were able to pick up the pass rush, Mahomes torched them. And they really don't have a good secondary or safety unit at all. So they're a marked team, and again, I picked them to finish second because Super Bowl hangover. How many times have you seen it where a team loses the Super Bowl and either misses the playoffs or they come back as a wild card and kind of fizzle out in the postseason? Only the New England Patriots are the team that can withstand something like that with Tom Brady and get back to a Super Bowl or get back to an AFC championship game. I don't see that with the 49ers, so that's why I'm picking them as a wild card. Seahawks to win the division.
Yeah, that's true on all that you said. With the Rams, listen, it wasn't going to matter, fans or no fans. You open up this new place, it's for the visitors. We know that for the Chargers as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever someone comes in, like, Sunday night, Dallas was going to come, it would have been all Dallas fans. It would,
Yeah.
it would have been Dallas West. Um, yeah, I don't feel as confident about the Rams anymore. You know, Passing, of course, you're going to have stats. Jared Goff or Jared Off when he's not doing well. He's always had that slot receiver. And with Brandon Cooks being traded over to Houston because he didn't want to be with the Rams anymore, I think that really hurts him. But then again, it can open up someone else's opportunity. You have the best two receivers on third down with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. The only thing is, if everybody knows you don't have a running game, obviously they're going to protect the pass and they're going to be ready for anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a rookie running back, Cam Akers. You have unexperienced backup running backs going up. Offensive line, yeah, took some hits. You have Whitworth, the left tackle. He's getting older. He's been around for a while. I had to look it up. He's been around. Um, and then again, with the defense, you lose Corey Littleton, who did everything for you. Like, he did everything over the middle. He played special teams very well. He went to the Raiders, which I'm happy about. I'm happy to see that. So that's a big loss for LA. You have Aaron Donald, but again, you don't have Sue there like 3 years ago, where now you could double Donald and don't have to worry. That's basically it. With Ramsey, he had a beef with I forget his name, but number 24, I can't remember who, but they let the 49ers win on a long pass off a miscommunication. He could be, an a-hole. Obviously, he can be an a-hole. And, I'm willing to see how that's going to go with the Rams. But, man, it's just funny to me quickly with the Rams and Ramsey as they go together, Rams and Ramsey. But watch, the shirts are going to come out now because he's staying until he asks for a trade.
Mm-hmm.
They had a thing where, okay, you're talking about the salary cap and how how all that works. Well, they had $1.5 million left, to spend.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world do they put that money up for Ramsey all of a sudden when they had $1.5 million left? That's just amazing to me. Like, the owner Kroenke had to go to his wife, who's Miss Walmart, and say, "Hey, can I borrow some money for Ramsey? Can I try this thing out? I know we're gonna lose a lot of money, but yeah, I have the Rams in last just because there's some questions there, and Cam Akers has to answer that. And he's short, but he's quick. But welcome to the NFL. He's gonna have those moments.
Yep.
So I have LA in last, which sounds crazy. That's how they started in LA in 2016 with Jeff Fisher.
Yep.
But I have Arizona in third. Their defense is real shaky. You have Kyler Murray, who can't really see over the offensive line. He's got to be on his tippy toes when he runs like a ballerina and throw the ball. But with Hopkins there, you traded David Johnson, so your running game takes a hit, despite the fact he's pretty much always injured. He had a pretty good game. I think he scored the only Texan touchdown yet last night.
Yep.
But with Hopkins, if he doesn't get the ball, he's not going to be happy. And then Fitzgerald is going to have a talk with him every time Hopkins, blows up. So I've been, I know everybody's going to have masks on and all that, but I want to see how that ends up. How long does it take before Hopkins has a diva moment and that's out the TO, say, "Give me the ball, I'm open."
Mm-hmm.
So I have them in third. Just their defense is bad, and if they're one-dimensional, you're not going to go far. It's like that with the Rams too. It's obviously the same thing. You just have Higbee for LA, and that makes a little more of a difference for sure. Because with the Cardinals, you can't really name a tight end with the Cardinals. It's all about their receivers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I agree with you with your team and that team up in Santa Clara. Um, Looking at orange skies this weekend. They start off, I think, with the Cardinals up at Santa Clara, and I'm wondering if that game's going to be played or not, just because of the air quality.
Well, it
Uh,
is. It is going to be played, and it's with no fans. I do know that for a
yeah,
fact.
that's true. Um, yeah, that would be a weird sight to see, when you look at that game, which I'll take a look at it. Because I want to see what the 49ers, because you have Mozart who said he wanted to be traded, but then obviously he said, I'm in a great position. You know, Jimmy G, the quarterback, he's handing me the ball. I'm doing everything. His agent probably said, you know what? You should go out for a new contract. If they don't give you anything right away, ask for a trade. Be
Hmm.
like Le'Veon Bell and be nothing. Just be nothing at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Tevin Coleman is there, to back them up, and I think they'll be solid running wise. But you mentioned without Sanders and with Samuel being injured a lot, Jimmy G, he still has Kittle over the middle, and when
Hmm.
he goes deep, but man, they're paying Jimmy G a lot to do nothing at all.
Absolutely.
Just hand anybody can hand it off. We can hand it off,
Hmm.
or throw 5 yards down the field. It's an easy job. Jimmy G's gonna have a lot of spare time on his hand, just like last year.
Hmm.
Going to the defense, I bet it was a great sight for you to see Richard Sherman get beat on that one play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he actually got beat 3 plays in the game, but that one was the most noticeable. Yeah.
I guess the beers got to me on the other two, but I remember the third one, yes, for sure, and all the memes that came out. So that's still an alarming thing when you think about the games that are really online, the games that are really going to mean something, and they remember what happened in that Super Bowl. You mentioned, yeah, the linebackers. We don't know who they are. The defensive line, they traded and they got younger. They still have a great defense. I'm not gonna deny that. But you mentioned the Super Bowl hangover, and it happens with everyone, like you said. But other from the Patriots might, not make the playoffs, might get a wild card, and that's it. So I have the 49ers in second, and then with the Seahawks, again, they were downgraded, criticized. Who's DJ Metcalf? DK Metcalf. I seen him in the Nesquik commercial. He wears, a binky for a mouth guard.
Yeah.
Who is that? Who is all these players? Tyler Lockett's getting older. Their defense, no one's there from the Legion anymore. There was all that criticism. Again, you said 6 wins. What did they end up having last year?
11.
Wins 11. Isn't that amazing?
Yep.
How when you shut out the outside world and just say, "Hey, it's all about us. It's all about us. We know what we all can do. We're all good." And they showed that last year. They went through some injuries, but everybody's better now. Chris Carson, Rashard Penny, San Diego State.
Hmm.
I want to see both of those guys run wild. I do have some Seahawks on my fantasy, so I traded for Russell Wilson. I believe in him that much.
There you go.
Um, he's solid. He knows when to run and when not to run. So I love that about him because it's a lesson that younger quarterbacks are gonna learn. Like, hey, maybe I shouldn't have ran and broke my leg or injured myself when I could just run out of bounds or throw to someone that could be open. You have those two tight ends, Wilson.
Or
I think
just
the other
throw it
guy.
away if you can. If you
Yeah,
can.
yeah. A lot of players don't. I was noticing that last year. A lot of players didn't do the right thing and throw it away. A lot of these quarterbacks, they were running for like -2 yards or 1 yard out of bounds.
Hmm.
Well, I said, hey, save those yards and just throw it away.
Hmm.
It was mind-boggling to think how that's gone out of the realm of coaching. Maybe nobody's saying throw it away, throw it away. Nobody's doing that, I guess now.
It's like
Uh,
the conversation, not to cut you off, but like
uh,
with Lamar Jackson, there's no need for him to be carrying the ball 20 times a game or more. And yeah, sometimes he'll break one or two, but he's taking some hits. Like when in those two playoff games or the last playoff game, where he was just running into the middle and taking running back type hits. It's like you're gonna get hurt one day, and that's your franchise, and who's your backup, man? So
I don't even know who their backup is, but yeah, with the Titans, yeah, they were hitting him hard, and
yep.
and I think maybe it's a lesson learned, and maybe those fantasy points won't be there as last year when he was running wild. Granted, he was doing that against um, the bad teams. Remember, they played Miami opening day and Cincinnati, and he put up those amazing numbers. But maybe there's something different. Maybe he'll learn from Russell Wilson. Let's just say. So, with all that being said, the Seahawks, you mentioned the defense is still pretty stacked. The secondary sounds awesome. Linebackers sound awesome. Experienced,
Absolutely.
experienced, and you need that. You might not have the speed, but you still have experience and reaction. And I'd rather have that any day than just running wild and being behind.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'd rather have that anyway with the Seahawks, just because there's some weapons in the division now that you're really gonna have to look at. So, and yeah, you mentioned the defensive line, and I know they have Richardson, but that's pretty much it. You mentioned there's not many run stoppers, but that'll lead to passing, hopefully, and some picks, hopefully, for you guys. I have Seahawks in first. Maybe the 49ers will say something about that, but maybe they'll be hungover. Maybe that would be the case.
So I'm banking.
Yeah. Hopefully, quickly, who do you think will be in the Super Bowl and who wins?
I'd be hard pressed not to pick the Chiefs. So I'll pick the Chiefs going on a limb.
They looked last night, didn't they?
Yeah, I did. I want to pick the Seahawks, but not to sound like a homer, I'm gonna go with the Saints. So I'll pick Saints and Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, you have it. I mean, your team sounds realistic to go to the Super Bowl. Mine, yeah, on Madden maybe, but
They got some talent.
Yeah, everybody's predicting them to be just awful. Again, we talked about that in the AFC show. It all depends on one guy, basically.
Mm-hmm.
With the Super Bowl, yeah, the Chiefs. I mean, they did the same thing last year, where they let the other team score first. How nice of them! And then they went off and scored 24 unanswered, 31 unanswered, whatever it may have been. Just like the game against Houston.
Yeah, they played possum big time.
They just, it's like, man, they were like the Golden State Warriors of 3-4 years ago, where they could go off at any time, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the Chiefs just because of that, and just because they're solid enough to make a run. I mean, I don't think there's anybody except maybe that Bronco team and the 49er team and the Packers team way in the 60s where everybody's back and everybody knows what they got to do. So they have I think Chiefs will probably win it again over the Saints. I think this is Drew Brees' time. But I'm hoping for an upset and Brees can ride off into the sunset. Yeah, I'm hoping for that to be the case, but I think the Chiefs just have too much in their hands and too many weapons to do it, to not to do it again, pretty much. So would you like to promote your show, The Grinds?
Yeah, you can check us out on Facebook, or you can go to you can find our links at thegrindspodcast.com, and it's all together. We just do a sports show. We talk society and culture as well, and then we also do a crime show, Grinding True Crime too. It's on all podcast forms too. So is the Grinds podcast as well. So you can find us on the Grinds, just the Grinds, on what is it, not only just Facebook, but you got Spotify, you got iHeart, iTunes. Same thing with Grinding True Crime. Same thing.
And I was listening to Murky Waters the other day as well. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun, especially the season opener in season 2. I mean, that had my head going.
That was a little personal.
Yeah. I was like, wait. Are they talking about me? No, I'm good, right? I was thinking about it. Anyway, it's been great having you on, Todd, and hopefully we can do this again sometime. Let's say if the playoffs come around, or whatever COVID doesn't not allow to happen.
Maybe.
Whatever. Hopefully this will all be over pretty soon, and we can go out to do stuff and go to games and all that. And uh, any final thoughts yet?
Yeah, I think we should do a mid-season one, maybe catch up around week 8, see where everyone's at, how our predictions are doing, and we'll see if we're on par or we're way off.
Yeah. Well, injuries can always happen,
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
that could be the case and change all of this. Like all of this can be for naught. Brady can get injured, Jimmy G can get injured, or one of the running backs. Who else am I thinking of? With Dak,
Yeah,
Carson Wentz, it's bound to happen.
yeah, someone's
So
gonna get
yeah, yeah. We'll see how the Eagles end up after their bye week.
it.
There's already a switch being made. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But well, thank you, Todd, for joining me on the chair here. It's going to be on YouTube, and we hope to reach out as many people as we can. And good luck to your show and everything you do, and stay safe out there, Todd.
You too, brother.
All right, take care, man.
You too.